In this video, I will try to understand AWS Lambda. So what is AWS Lambda? So AWS Lambda is an event-driven serverless computing platform as a part of AWS. So user don't need to worry about the AWS resources to launch or how to manage them. So AWS code is executed based on the response to the event in AWS, such as adding or deleting the files in S3 bucket. So let us try to understand further. So how does the AWS Lambda work? So we need to write the code in some programming languages, and after writing that, the Lambda function is executed whenever the event is going to take place. So when event is going to take place, the Lambda function will be triggered and the Lambda will be executed, and depending upon how many times the Lambda is executed, we need to pay for that much amount. So let us try to understand further. So what are the different AWS concepts? So first one is nothing but the functions. So what is function? A function is a programmable script which runs in AWS Lambda. Lambda passes the invocation events into your functions. So second one is nothing but the runtime. So allows the function in various languages which runs on the same base execution environment. So this helps to configure your function runtime. So third one is nothing but the event source. So event source is a AWS service such as Amazon SNS or custom service. So the trigger helps you to execute its logic. So the fourth one is the Lambda layers. So the Lambda layers is nothing but the important distribution mechanism for libraries, custom runtimes and other important function dependency. AWS component also helps you to manage your development function code. So coming to the log string, so allows you to explain your function code with custom logging statements, which helps you to analyze the execution flow and the performance of the AWS Lambda functions. So what are the different supported languages and runtimes? So we have Node.js, Python, Ruby, Java, Go, C# and PowerShell. So these are some of the languages that are supported by the Lambda. So what are the benefits of the Lambda? The first one is nothing but the pay per use. So the Lambda function you pay only for the compute your function use plus any network traffic generated. So for workloads that scale significantly, this type of billing is more cost effective. So fully managed infrastructure. So your functions run on the managed AWS infrastructure and you don't have to think about the underlying servers. So this results in saving on operational tasks such as upgrading the operating system. So third one is nothing but automatic scaling. So Lambda creates the instance of your function as they are requested. So there is no pre-scaled pool and no scaling levels need to be worried. The fourth one is nothing but integration with the other AWS services. So AWS Lambda integrates with the services like DynamoDB, S3, API Gateway, allowing you to build the functionally complete application within your Lambda functions. So we have automatic backups also. AWS provides the automatic backup, and we have built-in metrics which can be used to analyze after execution of the Lambda function. So what are the limitations of the AWS Lambda? So we have a cold start problem. When a function is started in response to the event, there may be a small latency between the event and the function runs. So if the function hasn't been used in the last 15 minutes, the latency can be 5 to 10 seconds, making it hard to rely on the Lambda for the latency critical applications. And the second one is like function limits. So Lambda function will time out within 15 minutes and there is no way to change the limit. If the function is typically takes more than 15 minutes, AWS Lambda is not a good choice. So the amount of RAM available to the Lambda functions range from 128 MB to 3008 MB with a 64 MB step. If the Lambda execution triggered above your concurrency limit, there will be a throttle and you will be forced to wait till other functions finish running. And the payload size. So the maximum payload size that the API gateway can handle is 10 MB and not always cost effective. So when the load for your application increases, AWS Lambda cost increases proportionally and might end up being higher cost of the similar infrastructures on AWS EC2 or other cloud provider. So these are some of the limitations of the AWS Lambda. So this is the AWS Lambda pricing. So I'll try to understand further with the help of a demo. So I am in AWS console here. Let us try to open the Lambda. So I'm going to type a Lambda over here. So the first thing is like we need to create a function. I will click create function. So there are built-in Lambda functions available over here. So if you want, you can choose the built-in functions, or else you want to create your own function, you can select this one. So you need to give the name of the function. So I am going to give it as my function. So what is the runtime that you are going to choose? So these are some of the languages that are supported by the Amazon Lambda. So I am going to choose Python 3.9. So you can change the execution rules here. You can create your new role, or you can use the existing role. So I am going to create a new role over here. So I will say create the function. So the function is created now. It is successfully created. So we can see that this is the function that will be executed whenever event happens. So let us try to execute this. So what I am going to do is I will go and I will save this, and we need to deploy after saving. So after this I am going to test. So I will say it as my event. So just save the event over here. So after that again I am going to execute the test. So this is the execution result. We can see that the body is executed. Whenever the event going to take place, the execution will happen. So suppose say if I make any errors over here, and I'm going to save this, and after saving you need to deploy this, and again we are going to test. So there is a syntax error because I made some error over here. So if you want to fix the error, again you need to place this colon and go and save this and deploy this and test it. So now it is executed successfully. Suppose say I want to execute my own function. So what I am going to do is I will remove this. I am going to the notepad and I am trying to save this. I will copy this and I will paste it over here. So this is the my own function that I have written to check whether the number is even or odd. So what I do is I will need to configure the test now, because the event needs to be configured. So here I will say number as 10. I will save. So again going to save this thing, and I am going to deploy this, test it over here. So you can see that the number is even. I have given the number as 10. Suppose I want to again configure this, go and configure the test event, and now I will say 11. Let us see what will be the output. I am going to save this, again test this. So number is odd. So this is how we can pass some numbers, and we can use to test whether the number is even or odd. After this I am going to show you the matrix. CloudWatch matrix will be shown. So this is my CloudWatch matrix. We can see that CloudWatch matrix, we can see that how many times it has been executed. 3 times. What is the duration of minimum, maximum and average, you can see over here. So that we can get, and the success rate is 66%, and there is one error that has happened. So this is what the AWS Lambda is all together. If you like this video, subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching this video.